This math video is going to be on coordinate grids. There's two learning targets behind me. The first one says, I can graph points on a coordinate grid. And the second one, the next step to that is I can solve problems using my knowledge of coordinate grids and patterns. Coordinate grids are a very important skill to understand. You're going to be using this a lot in middle school and high school math. So we're going to go over the basics so that you're ready for the next step for middle school. So I'm going to do a new way of taking notes today. I was able to find a way to display a coordinate grid on the screen and then write on it. So we're going to take 3 pages today. You don't have to do it in your notebooks, but if you want to, you can just do the first page. I'm going to show you the basics of the X and Y, and then we're going to be plotting some points to make a picture, and then we're going to be solving a problem using the coordinate grid. So let me pull mine up here. It might be a little funky to start out with, but this is our note-taking process now. So the first page is going to be the overview. So the first thing I want to make clear is that coordinate grids have 2 axes. You see over here, there's a little part that says X. The X goes along the bottom. And then the second axis we're going to work with is the y-axis. It goes up and down. So when you see coordinate grids, you'll see points, for example, 2, 3 in parentheses. There's 2 separate axes, and we're going to talk about which way they start off and which way they end up today. So you see a normal coordinate grid point as x, y. So we talked earlier just a minute ago about the x-axis. That's going to be your first point. And then the y-axis is your second point. A couple ways to remember this. Do a little star for you. X comes before Y in the alphabet. So, as a result, when we're making coordinate grids, X comes before Y in your points. Okay? So, the X would be the 2 and the Y would be the 3 in this example. The second thing we're going to take notes on is you're going to think of an airplane. Maybe your coordinate grid does not have labels. So this one has the X and the Y label, but what if it doesn't? We're going to think of an airplane. An airplane, when it's going up into the air, it goes across and then it goes up. So the X is across and the Y is the up. Okay, so for example, if we're going to plot the point 2, 3, we would go over 2 because that's the first part, and then up 3 because that's the second part. So over 2, up 3, where those meet would be right here. Okay, let's say we're going to plot the point 7, 10. I want you to think to yourself which one would be first and which one would be second using the notes that we have written. Sorry, I spelled before wrong there. Thinking and talking is not always easy at the same time. So across 7, so we're starting here, and then we go up 10. And it would be about right there. One thing I like to do, and this is just a tip, is on a pencil, I would go over 7, and then I would just make like a line up to the 10. And then you can erase that line. So I know where the point is. So then I can just erase it there. And then that's where that point would be. All right. So those are the basics. X comes before Y in the alphabet. So X is the first and then Y is the second. Think of an airplane going across and then up. All right. Next thing we're going to do is make a picture. So graph the points to make a secret picture. If you want to do this on your own, you totally can, but you can also watch me and maybe make a prediction on what the picture should be. So remember, we're going to go across and then up, X and then Y. So first point is 9, 10. So I'm just it's kind of hard to eyeball sometimes, but there's that point. Cross 7, up 12. Next one, I'm going to do a little check mark so I know I'm done with those. And 4, 12. Okay, same Y point. 2, 10. It's kind of looking like a polygon. If I were to close that, it would be a polygon. All right, 2, 7. Okay. All right, 4, 5. Kind of turning into a little bit of a circle. Maybe that's what your prediction is. 7, 5. 8, 7. Okay. Right? Yeah. You know what? That was supposed to be 9, 7. I apologize. I was writing these points out. There we go. Okay. Done with that one. The last one says 7, 8.5. So I know across 7 would be like here. And then 8.5, which means I'm going to go up 8 to this point. But it's 8.5. So I need actually to be right in the middle there. So let me erase those two. We got 8.5. All right, I'm going to connect those. Beautiful. Wow, I say that's a good job. All right, across 6, up 10. Maybe you're thinking, I know what this is. Across 9, up 8.5. Across 11, up 8.5. And across 14, up 8.5. Can you predict or can you figure out what that is? Let me know if you got that. That was kind of fun. You can find these types of activities online. Unfortunately, I'm not able to print them off for you, but if you find one and print it, they're very fun to do. All right, the last thing we're going to do today is solve a problem. Okay, I'm going to read it to you, and I'd like you to be thinking about, would I be able to do this on my own, or is this like confusing to me? It's similar to what we've done in class with patterns and creating coordinate points, but we're going to graph it today. So if you want to read it with me, it says, Sam has been building model airplanes for years. He creates a chart to show the number of airplanes he builds each week. He discovers 2 patterns. All right, so there's the weeks. It says start with 1 and add 1. So on the chart, that's this column down here. Every time you move down, you're adding 1. Plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. That was kind of weird, but you get the idea pattern on that first part. All right, and then his airplane. So in week 1, it says that he was making 1.5 airplanes in week 1. The next week, do plus 1.5. Next pattern, plus 1.5. And the last one is plus 1.5. So on the left side, we can do plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. And then on the right, plus 1.5, plus 1.5, plus 1.5. Our job is to graph 3 points to represent the ordered pairs formed by the first 3 corresponding terms in the pattern. So when it says the first, that means we're going to look up here and see where it starts. It says start with 1. Okay, so if we're going to start with 1 going across, see how it says weeks down here? Start with 1, and we're actually going to go up 1.5 because the airplanes is the other axis. So we go up to 1, but it's not 1, it's 1.5. Okay, right in the middle there. All right, so that's our first pair. Check. 2, 3. Go over 1 and go over 1 more. So 2, 3. Check on that. Next one is 3, 4.5. And then just for kicks, we're going to do the last one. But it only asked for the first 3. So if you put the last one, you don't need to. But I kind of like to just finish it off. Later on when you go through math, you're going to start to recognize trends. So it doesn't ask you to do this, but we can actually make a line plot out of this. So it would just be connecting. So if I were to make a prediction on week 7, he would probably have made 10. Based on that trend. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. Again, our targets were to solve problems using a coordinate grid and to just graph the points in general. So hopefully that was helpful. I have included some fun games for you to play and practice the X and Y coordinates. So have fun with that. But if you have any questions about any other assignments, just let me know. But I hope this was helpful for you today.